Hello, and welcome to the DecentraWise Podcast. My name is Pedro.
And Dan Miguel, and you just join us in our mission to decentralize the world wisely.
Wisely. Very important because it's very important to do it wisely. Otherwise,
It's not
we would
wisely.
be just doing pumps and dumps and tokens with no utility
And projects that fail mostly.
and projects that suck. So usually there are many projects that suck, but we want to concentrate on the other part, right?
Yeah, exactly. That's why we are here to guide you on how to do things the proper way, at least as far as anyone can tell. And so what we are going to talk about today?
So, first of all, grab your drink.
I don't have a drink
It's
today.
the most important thing. And
Wait, I
relax
do.
because things get really nerdy around here.
Yeah, quite a
And
bit.
today we are talking about a very interesting topic, which is a very strange word, tokenomics.
Yeah, so it's tokens and nomics. So, can you elaborate on what tokenomics is?
Well, it's a really strange word that could be invented by me easily because I always find strange words for everything, but it wasn't, right?
Yeah, somebody
Someone,
went faster
with,
than you.
yeah, someone with the same craziness decided to create it before me. How dare you, right? If you are listening to this, come on. But yeah, tokenomics is the mix of tokens and economics, right? So the idea here is
To manage a scarce
to
thing,
decide
which is a
to
token.
define the economics behind a token, right?
Exactly.
So usually it started appearing in white papers when people back in 2017, if you were around, you would remember that any white paper would generate a gazillion billions of dollars, not billions, but millions at least. So
Yeah.
anything that you would write on and call it a white paper because it's white and has letters uh, would be mostly sufficient to run an ICO and make a bunch of money. So that was um, the way things were at that time. And someone started to substitute token economics for tokenomics. And
Well,
yeah,
it's
that
faster at least.
it was like one chapter of the white paper defining which tokens go for what.
Yeah.
So usually the white papers would have two main parts that uh, were uh, were related to the economics of the project, right? Uh, they would have the token economics. So, how many tokens will be
Yeah, how they
minted,
are distributed at the
and
beginning and at the
yeah,
beginning phase, right?
yeah, exactly. So that was the tokenomics part, and then there was the fund distribution part, which would be the results from the token sale, how they would be funneled into activities in the project. So, um, but yeah, the token economics was the originator for the tokenomics word. Okay.
I would say that there should be a third entry there for how the token will be utilized
Of
during.
course.
Right. So it's a little bit different from how the tokens are distributed from point zero to whatever, and we will talk about this further down the line for sure
Yeah.
on how to guide the project using tokenomics.
Yeah, because usually when you define a token, you have to understand that the token can be anything, right? It's like something that we generate, and it can be just for fun, uh, like Dogecoin. It doesn't have any utility at
Yeah, well,
all,
there are
or
other meme coins.
yeah,
So
that's. I am a huge Dogecoin maximalist. I think Dogecoin should be the only meme coin that ever could
no, other coins
exist.
are also fun.
I don't think so. I am a maximalist of Dogecoin.
Yeah, but I'm not. So I think all meme coin.
That's
Well, maybe not all, but most of them are quite fun.
that's the only meme coin I have, and that's the only meme coin I will ever have. I don't care about other meme coins. I don't respect them. I just care about Doge. But anyway, this is not financial advice, by the way. So if you want to buy $1 gazillion of Doge and it goes
Yeah,
down
never
to
follow our
zero
opinions.
tomorrow, it's your fault, not mine.
Yeah, don't
Okay?
follow
And
our
please don't
opinions.
do that because you will also screw me. Okay? I have also invested in that. Anyway, just joking. But yes, it is the only meme coin I will ever have in my portfolio. But other meme coins are fun too. I'm not a maxi. And meme coins are cool because they have community. That's the only thing they have. So they don't have any utility by per se, besides being exchange between the community and being a medium of exchange of a community. That's utility, right? That's a single use case coin. Like there's only that part for related to utility, right? And so, but usually the white papers have to describe the reasons for uh, the supply of the coin and the reasons for the demand of the coin, right? That's usually when you define an economic model, you have to define the supply and the demand for it, right? So
Mhm.
uh, that's usually the case on the white papers that actually care about designing an economic model. Not all of them care. They just there are some white papers that just talk about token distribution and
Yeah,
probably nothing
I think
more.
basically it's the first thing that should come up, and I think we can start elaborating a little bit on the token distribution,
Yeah.
and uh, let's talk about a little bit on the models. What is an initial token offering, and yeah, let's start with that. I have a couple other things regarding this, but let's start with that. So, what is an initial token offering?
Um, so an initial token offering is the distribution of the tokens, right? There are several models. The first one was Bitcoin. What is the distribution model of Bitcoin, right?
Mhm.
Bitcoin started with 0 coins. That's what really makes Bitcoin unique is exactly that, the economic model that was created with it. Okay, so all other projects had ICOs or initial coin offerings or uh, um, token sales, blah blah blah. You can call it whatever you
Yeah.
want, and so on.
And there are also
Bitcoin,
several strategies on doing that.
yeah,
Uh,
Bitcoin never sold a single token ever, right? Every coin started its existence by being mined by a miner, right? So initially, at launch, when a miner mined the block, he was rewarded with 50 coins, wasn't it, or 100 coins? I don't remember what was the first. It was a completely stupid amount of coins. I can check on the white paper, but it would be something like that. 100 coins or 50. I don't remember. And and then every X amount of blocks, which is more or less 4 years of production, that amount is slashed in half. So imagining, I'm not sure if it was 100 or 50. I don't. One of each would be for sure.
mhm.
Uh, but imagine that it was 100. First 4 years, then it was 50 each block. And then it was 25. And then it was 12 and a half. And today it is 625. Uh, and by April next year, there will be only three
Something.
125, 125,
Yeah.
and so on, right? Um, so the token distribution was defined as a fair distribution, right? Because there was no pre-mine, there was no token allocation for teams, for this guy or that lady. There was no reserve uh, chunk that is somewhere utilized by someone. Anyone could participate since day one just by running a node. And if they would mine a block, they would just win the amount of coins of that block. So it is a completely fair distribution, and it is still being distributed today, and it will most likely still be distributed in 2130. I think it's
Yeah.
the around
Let's hope
there
so.
that the distribution ends, right?
Yeah.
So um, this was the first one. It was the uh, Bitcoin like distribution, which is completely fair and permissionless distribution for all without any
Hmm.
say. And this is one of the important things that made Bitcoin a commodity and not a security,
Yeah.
because there's no way anyone could have bought Bitcoin tokens with expectation of profit by someone else's efforts, right?
Yeah.
Because it would have to be by their own efforts, like their proof of work miners, uh, if they would have to put their hands on Bitcoin,
Hmm.
besides trading on exchanges, which is a completely different thing. If you buy stuff on exchanges, you can buy it anytime, and it doesn't make any security, the things that you buy on exchanges. The problem is what you buy OTC or directly to the entity that is emitting the token, right? And that became very transparent today after the Ripple lawsuit resolution, right? Uh, the only part that could be a security of XRP token offering was the part that was directly sold to institutions, not the token sale that happens on exchanges, right? So this is a very important thing. The token distribution has a lot of details, and usually there's a lot of stuff to be uh, handled by lawyers. We are not lawyers, so uh, don't take our advice on this, because each project has its own characteristics and should be analyzed. Team on laws, securities laws, and all that, which is completely different topic, right? But yeah, token distribution is usually that related to that, and
But regarding
ICOs.
the offerings, the offerings, either token offerings or coin offerings, what makes it so important on projects today, and why they are so used when starting a project? What are the consequences of that?
Well, usually projects use that as a fundraising, right? It's uh, it's it's like using an IPO for a company to raise funds using the shares method, right? Um, so this is usually the case, right? People just want to um, raise
Yeah,
funds,
yeah,
so they
to get some
create
money
a
to start
token.
the project. So, and you were talking previously about fair token distribution, which Bitcoin is totally fair, but this doesn't happen that easily on ICOs. So,
No,
despite there are attempts to make the distribution as fair as possible, it's not easy to make a fair distribution, mostly because part of those tokens are usually delegated to the team. Um, well, a part of the tokens are reserved, just reserved, usually, and another part are delegated to the team. Another part is delegated to exchanges. Another part is, and then there is a part for the regular users that want to buy the token. But then you will have to also be aware of big buyers called whales that might just purchase an unbalanced amount of tokens. So it's not a good idea for all the tokens to end up in the hands of very few people. But there are some strategies applied to that. Do you know? Do you want to go ahead and talk about a few of those?
I am a very strange guy in this space. Um, I could have done 1,000 ICOs being a gazillionaire today, and I never did it because I I don't agree with that form of funding. Uh, what I really think is the best approach is to define economic incentives that are so well defined that they would generate a sustainable project endlessly, not just while the token is being sold, right? Um, and that is hard. It's not something that
Yeah,
is done
actually, well,
lightly.
I was talking about having whales buying a huge amount of tokens, but since you're talking about the incentives, there is a lot to talk about that.
Yeah,
The incentives that you put, or incentives and disincentives that you put on the tokenomics may steer your project wherever
yeah.
you want to go. So
That's exactly uh, where I was trying to get, is that usually when you mint a large amount of tokens and put them all on sale, uh, that depends on the interest of the project, of course, and on the visibility and all that and so on. But uh, at any stage of the project, either at launch or later, there will be whales,
yeah,
because if there is an economic incentive to win uh, money, to get to make a profit out of your tokens, whales will buy. That's it's not an if, it's a when, right? uh, some some projects don't get there at all because they sucked in the first place. So whales are not stupid, right? Otherwise they wouldn't be whales anymore soon, right? uh, and some projects only become whale attractive uh, at a later stage in the project's lifetime, and some projects right from the beginning get whales interested in them. So usually there have to be some restrictions in place, like the largest chunk of tokens that is possible to buy and
yeah.
all that and so on. But I prefer doing it the other way around. I prefer to get rid of whales altogether in the beginning stages of the project with a fair launch distribution. Uh, so if a project distributes tokens over time with a certain requirement for participation in the token distribution, and if everything is well defined, uh, and the right incentives are in place, whales don't become a problem uh, after a certain amount of tokens are already distributed, right? And when the tokens are being traded already in exchanges and so on, then there will be whales, like there are whales on Bitcoin, right?
Yeah.
But there,
No,
there
it's impossible to avoid that.
There is a completely different story, because by being a whale at a later stage, they don't control the project's
Yeah, exactly.
funds, right? They just they are normal investors, which you have BlackRock or those big players, and you have guys like me and you and all of us that also invest in stocks, right? And it it doesn't make me a whale by investing in stocks, right? But if BlackRock would buy the entirety of the token supply in an IPO,
Yeah,
that would be a very problematic thing, at
yeah,
least for the
exactly.
project team, because they would be completely in BlackRock's hands, and that's
Yeah.
forbidden for a reason, right? And that's the same thing in crypto economics. If we don't think of these situations, we end up in very bad places where whales are experts in doing pump and dump schemes, and uh, the token will just
Yeah, and they
fluctuate a
can
lot. And
quite easily manipulate the market. And if it's um, a market with some liquidity, they can manipulate the market quite easily. So, but there is something else that comes to mind, which is very used, which are the airdrops. This is also a strategy to distribute the tokens
Mhm.
quite fairly, because usually what happens is either you buy tokens on a discount, or you just apply to get a fixed amount of tokens. So this, especially the fixed amount, would I would consider also a fair distribution.
Yeah, the problem, airdrops are cool. Uh, I just don't think that any airdrop is has the right incentives. Uh, so the airdrops that have some kind of um, relation to some prior activity or something like that are more interesting to me, or they if they involve the community and treat the community like a fair playground of people. So everyone that participates in the community during a certain time will get a certain amount of tokens, for instance. That is a cool thing because um, usually it avoids large concentrations of tokens in a single hand. Uh, but some other ways seem fair, but they don't because they are subject to sibling attacks, for instance, which is very common in this space. So if you don't have the right incentives or the right mechanisms to understand who will have to get their hands on your token, and who should get their hands and who shouldn't, then if there are no rules that define those things very well, people just create a bunch of accounts and they will get any number of tokens they want anyway, right? So
Yeah.
this is it's very hard to do well the token distribution. That's why I was talking that it's something that is that should be very well crafted in a project. It's not something that you just go like, for instance, I have a project that I have been analyzing and I have it here, in this paper, token economics. 90% for liquidity pools, 6.9% for centralized exchanges, 2% for developers, and 1.1% for marketing. This is bullshit, right? Uh, this is just a silly token, right?
Yep. Well,
This is no tokenomics. This is nothing. Uh, Defining a token economics as to uh, the basic thing that we should do is to define the economic model, right? Define why should have why should we have a token in the first place?
yes,
What's the use
I
of the
think
token?
everything starts like that, because you will
Yeah,
have to have a use for the token.
but the problem is that most of the tokens don't have any use at all. So why should they start there, right? But but
Sorry.
this is the first point, right?
Yeah.
We need to have a use case for the token. Otherwise, we don't need the token. And there's no big deal by having a project without a token, besides being impossible to raise funds, right? So,
Yeah, but
uh,
there are projects that can live just as well without tokens.
why? Why is
What do you
that?
mean, why?
Why there are projects that live
Because they don't need one.
because they don't need one, because they have
They have no use for
a
that.
business case.
Yeah.
That's the most important thing, right? What's the business case, for instance, of Uniswap? Uniswap has a governance token, but it was started without one. Don't forget that, right? Uniswap started as a project that had a business use case, which is the possibility to trade tokens. And by trading tokens, there are fees that are paid. And those fees go to the liquidity providers to be rewarded for their
Mhm.
investment. And that's it. There's a business case there, right?
Something comes to mind since we are talking still about the economic incentives, which are the incentives for block producers and validators, depending on the blockchain. So those guys have to be paid. You need
Mhm.
to create incentives for people to deploy a node and have expenses on the node and spend their time. So they have to be paid somehow. So usually projects have to create incentives for block producers slash validators.
Mhm. Yeah, that's another thing. Uh, it's a completely different thing when you are launching a chain and when you are launching a token in the first place, right?
Mhm.
Launching a token doesn't involve anything of that. So you mint a gazillion amount of tokens, and you just give them to which one you choose, right? It's mostly free. So you can create token XYZ and uh, give the tokens all to you in 5 minutes, uh, right? Uh,
Yep.
and it, like, after spending a few dozens of dollars on fees if you do it on Ethereum, or a few dozens of cents if you do it elsewhere, uh, you have your token. That doesn't create any value, right?
Yep.
It's just something that you created for fun, right? Uh, what creates value for a token is the use case behind that token,
Yeah.
right? And if you
So
have
you need
something that
you need a place to spend those tokens.
you have to have a
Yeah.
business,
Yeah.
right? If you just
Yeah, but
if
it's not just a business. It's a business that uses those tokens.
Of course, those tokens have to have a utility on that economic model that you are designing, right? And if
Mhm.
they don't have any utility, it's fine. You can create them and so on, but their
Yeah,
value,
there's no use for that. So
their natural
why
value will be
acquire them?
zero
Yeah. Yeah.
forever,
Yeah.
because
You
yeah,
can keep those tokens just for accumulation, for trading,
for
and that's it.
collecting.
Yeah.
If you
If you
have a
are
huge
a
fan
token
base,
collector.
yeah, if you have a huge fan base and you want to give something to your fans, it's perfectly fine. But
Yeah.
it's a completely different thing than a token that has some value.
Yeah,
Uh,
but you can see the usage of tokens like in Uniswap for paying the fees. On most exchanges, also they have a utility token to pay the fees. You can see on gaming platforms which they use the tokens of the platform to buy stuff for the games, to buy skins, guns, whatever. So they do create a usability for the tokens that they create. It's not just yeah, we have here a token here, just buy it just because it's here for
the-
sale. No, you
just
need to
go,
buy it. You need to buy it in order to utilize the platform.
man.
So that's
Just
the
go to
usability for
Binance
that.
Smart Coin Or if you want to check the latest releases on tokens, you can go to platforms like Dex Screener or Dex Tools, um, and select Binance Smart Chain, which is usually where all the bullshit tokens are traded, and check the token utility of all the tokens that are created every day, which are like, I don't know, man, it's a crazy amount. And I would say that 99.999% of them don't have any,
Yeah.
right? They don't even have a use case, like you said, to buy something with it.
Yeah.
And that use case is not very good. uh, that is not a very um, understandable reason to create a
No,
token in the first place.
I do understand. I do understand. Let me explain you why.
Hmm.
Uh, because they want you to how do you say it? They want to create some fidelization to the platform. So you cannot spend out the tokens there. Usually, you need to swap those tokens to the platform token. So on gaming, that's the thing there. You need that token, and it's a standard token for everything. So yeah, that's the thing there. They want to create some sort of fidelization to the platform.
Yeah, I know. And but usually those are things that appeared after the first need, and the first need for the token was to raise funds. Period.
Yeah, I
Right?
do agree. If they
And
had
then
an ICO
and
or
then they
IPO,
find out
yeah.
use cases for that generated
Yes,
token,
of course. Yeah,
right?
yeah,
But that's not the way things should work. Uh, when I'm designing an economy, I usually start by the other part. How can I create profits on this business model? What are my profits? Right? Any business has to generate profits, right?
yeah.
Uh,
Largely, hopefully.
it doesn't make any sense to create anything in the first place that doesn't generate value. If it's for not generating value
Yeah,
of
don't
any
open a
kind,
business.
don't
Don't
do
open a
it.
business.
Yeah, right.
And
So
don't try to live on 5% of profit because you won't live very long. Try to make some
that depends.
profit,
That
some
depends
serious
on the base
profit.
amount. That depends on the
No,
base amount.
yeah, well,
Uh,
well, it's a dumb business usually.
no, because for instance, talking about Uniswap again, uh, their business model of they charge like 100 basis points, so or less. I think even less, 25 basis points on some cases. So it's very small. Uh,
Well, that's
but,
the fees. You're talking about the fees, right?
yeah,
But
the
what's the profit that they have every month? They
that's
don't live. They don't live on 5% profit
that's no,
for
the profit
sure.
is
I'm
100% of
very
the fees.
yes. So
But they
that's
distribute
what I'm
something.
getting to.
They distribute something for the liquidity providers. I think actually they distribute all of it to the liquidity providers. So their profit margin uh, should be theoretically, the team's margin should be zero, right?
Yeah, but not the
Uh,
business.
but the business is not uh, developing Uniswap. The business is providing liquidity,
Yeah,
right? So of course, the guys that developed Uniswap, they started the biggest pools around there in the first in the first in the start of the project, and they should have made a lot of money with that. And that's what I use usually as an economic model to showcase this, because they didn't create any token. They didn't have to. They already have one, Ethereum. It was created already, right?
Yeah.
Uh, they have a use case, which is swapping tokens, right? They
Mhm.
have uh, a business case, which is transaction fees. It's common use case, right? Common business
Mhm.
strategy,
Yeah.
right? So transaction fees flow to liquidity providers, and that's
Mhm.
it. It's
Yeah.
simple. Doesn't have to be crazy uh, hard to design an economic model, right? And it works.
Yeah.
And then they created a new token, and they fairly distributed it uh, through the use of the platform, which is the uni token. It's a governance token. Uh, the utility of it is to distribute the governance of the platform to the community. And
Yeah, let's talk a little bit about governance. Since we are touching that subject, let's jump a few points here, uh, because this is quite important. That just goes up to the decentralized organizations.
Mhm.
So distributing a token for everybody gives the people the power to have a decision point on some subjects. Maybe sometimes not all. In other cases, to all the subjects, all the decisions that are taken for the project. So, do you want to elaborate a bit on that?
Yeah. Um, I love DAOs. We both worked for some DAOs, and I really love the concept of us deciding to do uh, whatever we like and not having to be hired to do stuff. Uh, it's the beauty of it. Um, if I want to participate in the DAO, I just join the DAO, and that's it. And most of the in the most uh, probable scenario, I will find a community there that's already doing some things, and I can just start attending meetings and start understanding what's going on there. And if I like what I see, then I start asking around if they need my help, and they will most likely say yes, we need, right? And so what can I do? And they most likely have a list of things that they
Yeah.
need done.
New features, bugs, whatever. Yeah, they
And
always need help. Translations. Yeah, they
yeah,
always need help.
so I then figure out if I can be of use on any of those things. I decide what I feel more motivated to do and start working. And usually they have either a worker proposal scheme or uh, some other way to incentivize people to be productive. And that's it,
Yeah.
right? We start working, we start getting rewarded for our efforts. And if we are good, we stay. If we are not good, we don't. And that's it. But we didn't go to an interview. We didn't had to be accepted by anyone. We just went there, contributed,
Yeah,
and
you show yourself
got
and make your value with the
yeah,
contributions and the quality of your work.
yeah.
So basically, that's it.
And usually, if things go well, you might get elected, to some kind of committee where you start making decisions along with other people in the DAO, and you might get to number one even,
Yep.
and be the DAO leader. And I've been there, and it's fun, right? Uh, and it all started exactly like I said. I joined their Telegram, I think, uh, and starting saying, "Hey guys, I'm here. I'm a developer. Where can I help?" And that's it. "Oh, we are meeting tomorrow. Join us." And that's it,
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
And then, yeah, everything started.
Yeah.
Uh,
I just remember that some of another, well, not another, but one of the most used economic mechanisms is to create inflation. And a lot of things and consequences, or some consequences, come from that. So if you start creating some coins, usually to pay for either projects or block producing or block validating, your tokens might decrease in value if your project doesn't grow at the same rate as the tokens that you are emitting. So other mechanisms will come that might come from that, and might do the opposite consequences, is to burn tokens or to retract them. Usually the retraction of tokens is because the project usually saves a big chunk of those tokens to create some sort of I'm missing the word, to drop some tokens on the for usage for the, usually on the exchanges.
like dropping tokens on the market when
Yes.
there's demand.
So instead of creating, instead of inflating the token, instead of minting the token, they just use that pool in order to leverage that. So it's not created. They are not creating tokens. They are just deploying those tokens, and then they can retract them once again. The other thing that they can do is to mint those tokens and then burn them when they want to increase the value of the coin.
The circulating supply.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's that's a tricky thing to do right. Inflation is a mechanism. Um, I don't think that all the projects need to have a fixed supply. Uh, doesn't have to be like that. Well, there are plenty of use cases that have been shown to be right and to be interesting. Um, I think the most important thing is to design the economic model around it so that the token emission mimics the network usage. If you do it like that, uh, usually when you design a network, you or when you design a token economic model, you have some network participants that are aligned uh, by that token model, right? And they should create some value. And uh, the value that is created on the network should be represented by the token emission, if there is an emission on that. If not, you will have to have a downward spiral somewhere in time. Many projects lived through that, and um, it has to be controllable, right? If you have an inflation mechanism, the inflation mechanism has to be tied to the network activity, and it's not just because you have to pay the producers that justifies token emissions, uh, because it's a contrasense. And it's counter. Uh, it's illogic, right? If the token holders are the block producers, usually in the network, the bigger ones, uh, and if you to incentivize them, you devalue all their holdings by emitting new tokens. That's not an incentive. It's
Yeah.
an incentive, right? By they having more tokens in their balance sheets, don't make them wealthier. Because if there is no other value besides that in the network, then it's a downward spiral directly.
Yeah, because if you keep dropping tokens, by dropping I mean minting or deploying tokens for the general use, it will devalue quite a bit. So if you don't have the representation of the value on the network, it will just lose value on time. So
Yeah. So it's a race to the bottom.
yeah, so
It's the
we can go
name.
back. We can go back to those networks, to those gaming networks, which incentivize the usage of that token to make things circulate and inside the network. So as long as you have their token will have value because you are holding it and you can use it. So it's not just that you are using currently, it's the because you will use it in the future.
Yeah. Um, for instance, on some use cases, uh, I have dealt with many economic models all these years in blockchain. One of the models that really made me um, rethink about inflation was the Steam economic model, for instance.
Mhm.
Um, it's so well defined. They said I don't agree with many things that went around in Steam blockchain. Don't get me wrong. Um, or Hive, which it's the fork that is currently live. Steam blockchain got taken over by Justin Sun a few years ago, and this team, uh, it was a very ugly fight between the Steam whales or Steam witnesses, as they are called, the block producers, and Justin Sun buying the company behind Steam and having all those fights. And they end up by having two chains. Like today, there's Steam, which is mainly Chinese, and there is Hive blockchain, which is uh, the continuation of Steam, the original. And but what I like in that economic model is that the balances that everything makes kind of sense. It has inflation, it uses inflation to part of it to pay the block producers, but most of it is to pay the content producers on the network.
Yeah.
And to pay the content producers, the producers have to have staked tokens. And those staked tokens determine their possibility of profit by generating content, right? So there is an incentive to stake, because by staking more, you can create token that is more prone to generate
Yeah.
profit if people liked it, right? And by liking content, you decide to whom the distribution of that unit of time goes, right?
Hmm.
So the newly generated tokens will be spread by all the network participants in rated uh, way decided by the likes of the people which have stake in the network, because people do the liking with their stake, not by one like one person, right? So everyone has to have skin in the game to participate in this gamification, right? And there is a large incentive to hold funds, not to sell them directly. And so I really think that there is a possibility to create to actually generate value by having inflation, which is
Yeah.
completely counterintuitive, because
No,
we all,
it is
when we
not.
start,
It's not, because what you are talking about there is that you are creating the incentives for people to create content. So you can have that inflation, but that inflation will be used to pay for the content producers. But those content producers will increase the production of content, so that increases the network value. And that was the theory behind that. So you keep increasing and using that inflation as an investment to create more content and to grow the network value. So one thing that comes to my mind is about staking. We were talking about staking and incentivizing the staking process. And why do projects incentivize staking, and why do they incentivize people to hold those tokens and not to get rid of them? And how does staking create usually a percentage of value increase on the amount that you stake?
so usually there is a staking mechanism simply just to disallow or disincentivize token um, sales. But that's not the point that we should think. Um, Usually, there has to be some use case for staking, right? It's not just stake your tokens and you get some XYZ APY or whatever.
Yeah, well,
Uh,
you have that in Ethereum
you
right now.
have it,
You stake it. It has no use at all, and you have like 3 or 5% or whatever they give you right now.
yeah, but that's usually not the right use case. Uh, the
Yeah,
the
but
use case
how
behind,
is this value created? I mean, it's not clear to me how this value is created. So they are giving you 3% or whatever, and how is this
Most of the
3%
times,
created?
most of the times, those 3% are just printed out of thin air. So I'm not saying that in Ethereum is the case of Ethereum. Ethereum is a completely different beast. Uh, Ethereum has a very high barrier of entry for being a validator. So if you have to be a validator, you have to stake 32 ETH, which is a bunch of money uh, right now,
Yeah,
let alone in the future, right?
yeah.
So what they created was liquid staking incentivization, which is uh, platforms like Lido and others right now offer people yield for staking their Ethereum in their incentivized validator network.
Mhm.
So people just put Ethereum there and they use that Ethereum to create various chunks of 32 ETH for other operators to become validators without having the 32 ETH and run the servers and being productive in that area. So there is a job being done there, right? That
Mhm.
generates money paid by the network, and that money is paid to the operators and also to the liquidity providers for the operators. So that makes sense, right? It
Yeah.
seems uh, odd, but if you think about it, it makes sense. But there are many projects that don't make sense at all. They just print money to generate yield just because they can, and that's why I was telling that that should not be the case. We should create something uh, that has a business logic behind. And
Yeah.
um, when you have staking and you have a business logic that that is based on that staked token, then everything jumps into place, right? For instance, going back to the Hive or Steam incentive mechanism again, if you have staked tokens, you become a more respected or respectable member of the community. And if you uh, make a post using that you, using that stake, your post will be shown to more people, and those people will probably, if they like what you've written, because that platform is like a blogging platform, if they like what you wrote, they will most likely like it, and they like with their stake as well. So it's more important the likes of the people that have more stake than the people that have less stake, and you will get more rewards by that because more people with more stake liked your content, and this is a feedback loop, right? uh, it's it all it auto feeds uh, and creates a positive feedback loop, and that's the idea. If you have a token with inflation, the most important thing that you have to think about is to create a positive feedback loop where there is value to be added to the network, and incentivize creation of that value, and make a fair distribution of the new minted tokens with that added value in mind.
Yeah. So in the
Right?
words that I was using before, use that to invest on your platform. So it's not just pay the bills. Use it to invest on the platform.
Yeah.
And the the next topic that I was going to jump on was the challenges on designing effective tokenomics. This is a huge topic, and I think we should have this topic for a full episode. So I'm
Yeah.
going to I'm going to go for our last topic here because we
No,
are
but
running.
we can just give some words on designing effective tokenomics. It's
Yeah, yeah. Well, if you
fucking
want to go for,
hard.
yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
Uh,
it's really hard to do it, and you
that,
have to use a lot to, well, not to use, but actually to kill a lot of brain cells to actually do it. Um,
but that's the
so
beauty of it.
yeah,
That's the
then
whole
it's just
point.
beautiful. When it works,
Yeah.
it's just beautiful. But let's jump to the last one,
Yeah.
which should be fairly quick because we are also running out of time. Which is the community engagement. We scrapped the surface there on the meme coins and how the community engagement values or increases value on the token. How good it is to have a vibrant community there and a supportive community in a project's token.
100%. It's as simple as that. Anything that you do on blockchain is related to network effects. Anything. It's the only thing that we are dealing here, right? So the project valuation is based on network effects. Uh, Everything in blockchain is network effects. There is no other way of looking at things, right? It's like going to a company and analyzing their balance sheet, right? That's the um, due diligence that we have to do in the company to decide if we want to invest or not. What is their P&L? What is their expectation of future profit? Right? Um, in blockchain, the only thing that we need to care about is network effects.
I
And
I tend to see it a little bit as the football team supporters. So if it wouldn't be for the supporters, for the people that are cheering uh, for the team, there wouldn't be a game at all.
yeah,
So I kind of see it like that.
yeah, and it's very important because uh, the whole point of any project is to create a community behind it and to engage that community in the project so that the sum of all the parts becomes more than the value. The total value is more than the sum of the parts, right?
Yeah,
uh, and that's usually what happens in network effects. So this is why we need to. This is the most important thing. If you don't generate, if your project doesn't create a community behind it, a genuine community, not uh, just numbers in a
yeah.
Telegram
Well,
channel,
yeah,
because most of them just don't give a damn about the project,
yeah.
just go
Of
there
course.
for a quick profit, and that's
Yeah,
it.
but if you have a genuine community that it's also fighting alongside you for the project, they will cheer, of course, in the good moments, and they will support each other on the bad moments
Yeah,
because all projects have up and downs, and they will definitely. What I've seen is that they support each other like hell.
yeah.
I
But
It's something that I never seen before.
Dogecoin is a good example of that. Uh, the graphic of Dogecoin goes like this and this and this and this. It's like a roller coaster on steroids,
Yeah,
and the community just don't gives a shit. They just care about their token. They are part of the community, and they still hold the token on on the downturns. They buy more, and they keep on buying, and they just feel that that's the way for them to become um, wealthy in the future eventually. And yeah, I completely see the point of community. It's the biggest part, and probably after designing effective tokenomics, I think it's the second most important thing in a project. The rest is just uh,
Yeah, business as usual. You just develop your
yeah.
project as you intend to, and yeah, keep your community happy.
So the first thing is tokenomics, designing good incentives that generate value, not just create value out of thin air and hope that it sticks, right?
You're right.
That's the usual um, economics behind most
It's
projects.
it's called
But
faith.
yeah, they just throw tokens and hope they stick somewhere, and hope that the majority stick on their pockets
Yeah,
so that they can profit, and that's it. Um, but if you design the correct incentives, you're designing and and uh, a correct business model. You're designing something that takes a life of its own, right? It the good projects in crypto, they don't have the creators. If the creators are around still, they are around just because they believe in the project and they want to continue doing stuff for the project because the project doesn't need them. That's the beauty of it, right? And the community takes over, and the community usually becomes the governance entity of the project if they believe in it, and if they stake the respective governance token to have a say in the project. And that's the goal of any project. If I think that's the goal of any business, right? What's the use case of creating a business if I have to be there every day working? There's no use case for that. I'll be an employee of myself instead of being an employee of someone else, right?
mhm.
So the better a better use case than that uh, is to become a business owner, and the business owner is someone that generates a business and becomes with time. This cannot be done right out of the box. Usually you have to dedicate a lot to build your business, but after, when your business is done building, it takes over, and you become um, not needed
Yep,
eventually, and you can go home, enjoy your vacations for life, and get the profits out of the owning a business and not uh, being the businessman, right?
yep,
And that's the whole point of creating these projects. You have to see these projects as a business, right? If the business scales well, you become the business owner and not the business doer. Uh, that's it. That's the usual uh, important result of creating a business in the first place. It's not to continue working and doing the same shit your entire life.
yep.
Uh, that's not scalable. You only have 24 hours in a day. You will never have
Of
more.
course.
You will never have less. That's fixed, right?
Exactly. Pedro, it was a pleasure to have yet another conversation with you. Guys, if you haven't done so, smash that like button, subscribe to have, and
What?
yeah, click on the
There are
notification
people
bell. No.
there are people that
Yes,
didn't
there are people
subscribe yet.
messaging us. Yes. Uh,
Come
yeah.
on.
No, of course, everybody subscribed
Ah,
already, but
okay,
yeah, but I have to repeat this. I need to
okay.
mechanize the
If I
sentences.
know that
So
there's anyone not subscribed to this channel,
yeah,
huh,
yeah, I'm getting to your home address, and I will kick your ass. Uh, anyway, smash that like button if you haven't done so, and subscribe and click the bell to be notified for more videos.
if you can do that all at once, you will be my
You
champion.
have a bonus. Yes, you have a bonus. Also, get to us in our social media. You can ask us questions, ask us to talk about subjects related to our channel, of course. And
Or
yeah, I
not.
have.
We can just
Well,
talk football. Why not?
yeah, we can make an episode talking about football. I have no understanding about football, but I can talk about it. So,
Me
in
neither.
any way,
That would be
that will be fun.
that would be fun. Yes. So
Uh,
yeah, guys, uh, this is a very huge topic that we talked today, and we probably want to do another episode on this, just related to designing the economic
yeah,
models.
yeah, that's huge. That's
Um,
huge.
that would be a lot of fun. And thanks for joining us in our mission to decentralize the world
Yeah, wisely.
wisely. And we'll see you in the next episode.
See you in the
Cheers.
next one.
Bye
Bye.
bye.